Welcome to Watch Symposium. I'm Austin. All right, so take two. This is the second time I've tried to record this video. I must not have pressed the record button, and at the station I talked to my phone for 10 minutes and got nothing out of it. First off, let's do a wristwatch check. All right, here we go. We're doing the military watch today, and this is the fourth watch I've had on today. I got up with the F94W Casio, and I changed that, and while I was eating breakfast and doing my morning routine, I put on my Seiko 5 to sort of wind that up and get that rotor going. And then when I got in the shower, I put on the Casio F91W, and I had a busted catch, and I just wanted to make sure my shower didn't run on too long, and so got out of the shower and wound this up, set it. It's a pretty easy watch to set without the date, and I was off. There we go. And the reason my wrist is red is it looks like there's some dry skin, and I tried to scratch it off, and anyway, that's the redness there. So let's talk about this watch real quick before we talk about the main topic. Now, this is the military watch, the Vietnam watch from my mother. And about a month ago, I gave this watch a thorough cleaning. It had had a service, but the gentleman that serviced it didn't clean it. He got it running. He put in some spare yet original parts, original to the watch at least, and got it going. And it's a pretty accurate watch. It's a couple seconds fast a day, but he didn't clean it, and it looked kind of bad. So about a month ago, I decided to clean it, and I soaked the spring bars, and there was like this sort of black crud inside, and so got those all cleaned up, and the strap was also stained, and there was some sort of rust particles embedded in the strap, so I washed that and I wiped off the case. This is not a waterproof watch, and so kind of went over the watch as best I could and cleaned in the lug holes. There was the lug holes were kind of dirty inside, and the most significant thing was the clasp, the buckle, and it was rusted. And so what I did was I soaked that in vinegar and went to work on that, and it cleaned up nicely, but you can still see the scarring on the top there and on the side where the rust ate into the metal, but doesn't have any rust on there anymore, and it looks a lot better. Now, a viewer gave a really interesting comment talking about this watch, and if I can find it, I'll put it in the description of this video, but he was talking about the fact that this watch didn't really handle itself well in the Vietnam environment. The humidity of the weather there would infiltrate the case and presumably through the crown, and or the space between the crown and the case, and there were issues with it. So it really wasn't a well thought out choice for the Vietnam environment, which you got to wonder why the U.S. military chose it. They could have been better off going with something like a Rolex, but of course it's a little too much, I think, that they'd want to spend. But it's hard to believe that they would not take into account the kind of things that would need to survive. And poor decisions happened apparently, and this particular watch never saw action, and perhaps if it did, it wouldn't be running. but it's like I said, it's a great watch. You wind it up and pop it on, and you don't have to deal with the date. A couple seconds fast a day. It's a manual wind watch, which is kind of fun, but I gotta say, I really do prefer an automatic watch. I like this symbiotic relationship you have with an automatic watch, and I like the fact that you strap it to your wrist and it becomes alive, and it will just continue with your movement. And the fact that you have to take this off and wind it is kind of fun and novel, but I do prefer automatics. All right, let's talk about today's topic. All right, so there was a comment in yesterday's video from Matt Stevens. Good old Matt Stevens. I guess he's in China right now. Good to see that he's still alive, and I'd love to see some videos from Matt. I'd love to see some videos talking about China. I always enjoyed his watch videos, so I hope Matt gets back into it. He wrote of an apparent rumor going around, and I haven't heard this rumor, that they are going to discontinue the BLNR. Now, I kind of mentioned that yesterday, that I don't think it's going to happen, and I maintain that. I don't think that they're going to discontinue the BLNR. I think it's too good of a seller. They haven't even met demand, and for them to discontinue it now doesn't really make a lot of sense. But we're talking Rolex, and if this was another company, if it was Omega or Breitling or Swatch Group or whatever, I would say there's no way they're going to discontinue it. They're going to meet demand, and there's a lot of BLNRs to sell. But Rolex is an exception, and Rolex is an anomaly as far as a company goes, and so they could do that. You're probably hearing some wind right now. Sorry about that. But I would be surprised. I would be surprised because it hasn't had that long of a run, and again, there's a lot of desire for it, and there are a lot of punters out there that want it and haven't gotten it, and to discontinue it in a way would be kind of a dick move by Rolex. So I think it will continue, but we'll see. Now let's think of a hypothetical. If they did discontinue it, now they might discontinue it just to keep the GMT line strong and to keep this new GMT, whatever it is, if there is one coming out, and I think there is one coming out, to give that a little bit of vigor, they may discontinue it. That would be, I guess, the rationale there. And just to solidify the BLNR as a classic. And that's what would happen. It would become an instant classic, and anybody that had bought a BLNR at the AD and paid their 918,000 yen or whatever the equivalent is in USD would have gotten a great deal and would have a watch that probably would maintain its value. Even the gray markets with a price increase or a premium of 2,000 to 3,000 USD would down the road still be good buying, perhaps, if they were to discontinue the Batman. So if that comes to pass, well, if you do happen to see one of those last BLNRs at the AD, I think you'd be almost crazy to not pick it up. And all of a sudden, paying 2,000 to 3,000 USD more at a gray market really wouldn't make that little sense. It would make a little bit more sense. But let's talk about investments and watches as investments, and particularly modern day watches, because they're making a lot of these watches, and you can get these watches on the gray market if you're willing to pay for them. So it's not like that. It's not like there's a deficiency of them in terms of just not being able to get them. It's just not being able to get them from Rolex and not being able to get them at a price that isn't kind of ridiculous. But in terms of investments and making money from a BLNR or any modern Rolex, I think what you need to do is buy it and store it. I think that's what you have to do if you're gonna make some money on it in the future. Now, if you want to break even, you'd probably be okay. You could wear it, and I think in the future, you know, if it's a discontinued model, I think you could break even. But to really, you know, make it something that you make money from, you have to buy it, and it has to become a safe queen. And you can't wear it, and you can't take the stickers off. Basically, you have to buy it and stick it in a safe and just kind of sit on it. You can look at it, you can wind it perhaps, but you're not going to be able to wear it because you're going to have to keep your watch separate and distinct and something more than all the other BLNRs out there. I mean, when a Rolex watch is bought, 98% of the time, if not more, the stickers are taken off and it's worn, and it gets nicks and it gets scuffs, and then it gets polished, and then it gets more nicks and more scuffs, and then it gets polished, and that's just the life of a typical watch. And 10 years, 20 years down the road, even if the BLNR is discontinued, a watch with that kind of life, it's not going to fetch crazy money, because you're going to be able to find other watches that live through the same and similar experiences. What really you have to do, in my opinion, is to buy a watch with the intention of never wearing it. And that's a proposition that isn't fun. I wouldn't want to do it, and a lot of people wouldn't want to do it. And that's why it doesn't happen a lot. Buying a watch and sticking it someplace in a safe, not taking those stickers off, winding it occasionally to keep those oils from congealing, and 20 years down the road, having it box papers, new old stock, with stickers on it. That's going to be the way to make money, and not a lot of people are willing to do that. Not a lot of people can do that. You know, you see things like Rolex 16710 GMT Master 2s and their new old stock, and you don't see a lot of them, but when you do, they're thousands and thousands and thousands more than your typical GMT Master 2. Because how many box paper, never worn, stickered 16710s are out there? Very few. You'd be hard pressed to find one. And my guess is you'd be paying around $24,000 for something like that. I don't know where I get that figure from. Maybe I've seen that, but you know, I think I could probably get 10 grand for mine, unpolished, pretty minty, boxed and papers, but there are signs of wear, and the stickers are off, and a brand new piece of the same, you know, stature, that's new old stock, I think you could probably double the price, $20,000, $24,000, something like that. I'd say $24,000 would be a fair price on a new old stock stickered 16710. So that's how you make money on current Rolexes. I had a viewer ask me about a Coke, a pre-owned Coke, for sale in England. It was 7,000 pounds and change, and I think it came out to about 10,000 USD. Is that a fair price? Well, If you're in Japan, perhaps. If you're in the States, no, it's overpriced. I don't know if it's got box papers. I don't know if it's been polished. I wouldn't pay that for a for a polished piece. If it's a non-polished piece, I'd think about it. But this viewer was asking, is it a good investment? And if you're going to wear it, good investment, yes, in the sense that you'd probably years down the road be able to get your money back, break even. But as far as making money, I don't think you could. My guess is that's probably a polished piece, and it's not a new old stock piece. Now, another ambulance. Whenever I stand here, ambulances come by. So I think at best, we can expect from modern Rolexes to break even. Perhaps if you buy smart, make a little bit of money, but to really look at it as an investment that, you know, a decade or 2 decades is going to net you significant money, I think it's gotta be a safe queen. There you go. Anyway, a couple different topics today. Take care. Thanks for watching. See you next time.